What's up? Hello everyone, my name is Paul Scarab, and in this video I'm going to be doing a new series called Honest Thoughts. This is a series where I'm going to give my personal thoughts and opinions on a different subject. This may not be video game related, this may be video game related, it's all in the choice of whatever the topic is. But we are going to be doing something based off of League of Legends. Today we're going to be talking about the new Pantheon rework that was just recently released to live servers. I'm going to be comparing it to the old Pantheon and giving my honest thoughts on the whole rework itself. I'm first going to be going over Pantheon's kit as a whole, since both the old Pantheon and the new Pantheon have new kits. However, in more ways than one, they're very similar to each other. So, let's go ahead and get started with the passive. Pantheon's old passive is called Aegis Protection. Pantheon will have to gain 4 stacks for his passive to activate. These stacks can be triggered from both basic attacks and abilities. Once these 4 stacks have been made, or met, Aegis Protection will be added to Pantheon, which will block the next incoming basic attack from an enemy champion, a large monster, or an incoming turret shot. Pantheon's new passive is called Mortal Will. Instead of having to gain 4 stacks, Pantheon will now have to gain 5 stacks. And instead of getting a block of basic attacks, instead Pantheon will now have a ability boost once he gains these 5 stacks. Basically, once he gains 5 stacks, the next ability that he uses will actually get a buff to it, or a new effect. Pantheon's old Q is called Spear Shot. It's a point-and-click ability that scales with AD. All it really is just Pantheon clicking on someone and he throws a spear. It's literally what the whole ability was. Pantheon's new Q is very similar to that of Pyke's, in that he has 2 different states, a stabby stab and a throw. The new Q is called Comet Spear. If you press Q, Pantheon will do a thrusting motion rather than just throwing the spear itself. This thrusting motion cannot be blocked by things such as Yasuo's Wind Wall, and it also scales with AD. Mortal Will, if it is up during this, will actually buff the amount of damage that this does, and it will also slow. If you hold down Q during Comet Spear, instead of him thrusting, he will charge up and actually hurl the spear. Once hurling the spear, it will cause physical damage to all enemies hit. This is no longer a point-and-click ability, so this means you'll actually have to aim it. But instead of only targeting one person, if Pantheon throws it, it'll actually hit multiple targets. However, it'll lose damage the more targets it passes through. If Pantheon is interrupted, it'll reduce the amount of mana that it was cost to throw or activate the ability. And if Mortal Will is up, it'll also increase in AD and will slow all targets hit. Pantheon's old W was called Aegis of Zhonya. Pantheon will jump to a target and will deal magic damage and stun them for 1 second. Once hitting the target, it will actually instantly proc his passive, Aegis Protection, and this ability scales with AP. Pantheon's new W is very similar to that of the old W. Pantheon's new W is called Shield Vault. Pantheon will jump to a target, dealing physical damage, and stun them for a second. If Mortal Will is up, Pantheon's next basic attack will hit 3 times instead of only hitting once. While the ability starts off as physical damage, it actually scales with AP. Pantheon's old E is called Heartseeker Strike. It has a passive ability called Certain Death. Pantheon's basic attacks and Spear Shot would critically strike all enemies below 15% maximum health. The actual ability itself, Pantheon would channel for 0.75 seconds and deal physical damage to enemies in a cone in front of him. Pantheon's new E is very similar to that of the old E, but rather it's called Aegis Assault. It no longer has a passive ability, however, it still does keep the cone. Once activated, will start attacking and striking in a cone, in which Pantheon will actually be slowed down, however he can move during this, which he could not do in his old E. The effect of him doing the cone attack would also not be interrupted by crowd control. In front of him, or where the shield is when he's doing Aegis Assault, will actually block enemy damage and turrets that hit him from that angle. Mortal Will, instead of increasing damage, just makes it so Aegis Assault's duration is increased for a period of time. At the end of the duration, or at the end of Aegis Assault, Pantheon will slam his shield, dealing more damage. Pantheon's old R is called Grand Skyfall. Once activated, Pantheon will begin to channel and leap into the air. Whatever location he decides to land in, a circle will form. Inside of the circle, if Pantheon lands and people are inside of that circle, It will deal AP damage to them. Any enemy in that location will also be slowed. Pantheon's new ult is called Grand Starfall. Once activated, Pantheon will again channel and leap into the air and mark the destination he is going to land in. Instead of being a circle, it is instead a wave, and he will remain vanished or invincible until he actually lands and moves around on the ground. This ability still scales with AP. If you hit an enemy in the center of the ability, it will deal more damage. Grand Starfall also instantly triggers his passive, Mortal Will. In my opinion, the new Pantheon is personally my favorite rework to come to the game. There's a lot of things that this rework does right, and I think the main thing is that it keeps Pantheon the way Pantheon was. A lot of the things that Pantheon used to be able to do, Pantheon still does in this kit. Some of the old things that Pantheon was known for that is still in the rework is him being an early game champion, his ability to block basic attacks, turret shots, and things like that, and a point-and-click stun in his W. However, what this rework does change is it makes it so Pantheon is a little bit more interactive, and I think that's what makes it a better rework in my opinion, and a overall better champion. Instead of having only 2 combos like the old Pantheon did, which really all he had was like WE and WQ, Pantheon, with the introduction of his passive and his new abilities, has multiple combos and new ways to actually fight opponents. He's not the hardest champion in the game by any means necessary, but now it actually takes a little bit more thought to play Pantheon. You don't just click on an enemy and stun them and then just throw a spear at them that they are not able to dodge. Now Pantheon actually has to aim his spear. You have to think about what abilities to use, what abilities to buff with Mortal Will, and I think that overall makes him a better champion. What's also a welcome change with the new Pantheon is his new design. In my opinion, his new design makes him look 20 times better because now he just doesn't look like a just old-time Spartan or a 300 reference. Instead, now he actually looks like a character from League of Legends. And I think that is a overall better decision for the game. My overall final thoughts are that the new Pantheon is a overall welcome change, and he is personally my favorite rework in the whole game. However, these are just my personal thoughts. If you have your own thoughts on the new Pantheon, please, I would love it if you put it in the description below. I personally think he's one of my favorite reworks of all time. He does seem like a pretty powerful champion, but he doesn't seem too overpowered since he falls off in the later ends of the game. But time will tell how effective this new Pantheon is. If you guys did enjoy the video, please like, and I don't really care if you favorite the video, no one really does that anyways. But if you did enjoy the video, please like and comment your personal opinions on the new Pantheon. I hope that I can make this series a long-running one on the channel, since this was pretty fun just to address my personal thoughts. But anyways, I'm Pualta Skurb. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video, and hopefully you guys enjoy the new Pantheon. Peace out.